Hi, my name is Eve. My story is 10 years ago, I was doing more illustration and paintings. I come from the visual art sector, and I met Julien because he wanted to buy one of my paintings, but it was too expensive. So I said, "Oh, you do like good motion design, so do you want to teach me?" And then I give you a painting. But then we started to collaborate and work together. At that time, we were mostly doing paper sculpture. And more and more, you know how you do the paper, and then you just like throw it all away and recycle it. And we thought it was just a shame, so we started to deconstruct it in stop motion. So then after we could do a small video of the creation when it was in reverse. And more people were asking not about print but about small videos, so we started to do more and more of that. And now we're mostly directors, some music videos, but mostly advertising. My typical day, each day are really different. Mostly, if I start very at the beginning, I have like my kids screaming, and I have to get them ready for school. So always stuff like hurry up, no. And then after they go to school, and we go to our studio. We have a small studio that we share with other creative. And yeah, it really depends. There's a lot of processes. We always like to be inspired by other things that we see, or events or music and all that. So we talk about our inspiration and what we want to do, and we sketch it. So when we have a client that comes, we try to elaborate on their idea. So depending on the process, it's very different. But yeah, we try to be as creative as possible to enjoy our day. What I love about working as a duo is that when you're alone, you try to explore, but you don't have like the brainstorm process. So it's really nice to work with one person that you have a type of synergy, because you have the same vision, but some have more strength than others. And we just brainstorm and give a lot of ideas. And so we don't have always the same opinions. So the ideas that Julien gives that I don't like, we don't keep them, and the one that I give and Julien don't like, we don't keep them. So at the end, we feel like when we both like it, since we're different, it's a good sign that maybe our approach is good, and maybe our idea would be liked by different types of people. There's a lot of positive points, but one of the negative point, I would say that sometimes in period where our ideas are very different, or when one person is like, okay, we should do one more commercial work, and the other is like, no, we should invest in the personal work. So then sometimes we get kind of in a loop that we need to get out of, because we won't evolve into anything. So sometimes we have like these discussions about that, but it always works out fine so far. Our inspiration comes really from everywhere. It sounds cliche, but it's true, because sometimes you listen to music and the type of music inspires you, or sometimes you listen to the lyrics and there's like one sentence that you imagine in a visual way that you develop on that. Other times there's one project that we did that's called Strangers, that we were inspired by an old movie and we wanted to do a remake, but in a more modern way in our style. So this inspired us a lot too. We get inspired. We love doing conferences like that, because we get to meet a lot of creative. We also love to collaborate with other people who have other vision than us. So yeah, I would say that I get my inspiration from working and being stimulated with other creative, mostly. Yeah, traveling is one of my biggest passion, and that's something that also inspires me and inspires us as a studio a lot. Actually, when we met, we moved to Berlin for 6 months, and we worked with other people there, and then we came back, and we always love to travel to different places. Last year, normally every year we do a personal project, but yes, last year we decided to just get inspired, so we just didn't work for 3 months. We went in a really small surf town in Costa Rica, and we just worked from there and tried to develop other things. We shot a lot of different little films that now we are working on editing, and probably they're gonna come out this year. But yeah, traveling is one of our biggest inspiration. I would just travel all the time and just do nothing else. That's a hard question because of one place. Um, I've been to a lot of different cities, but I've never been to Asia in my life. So I really want to go to China. I want to go to Vietnam. I want to go to Japan. I would love to go to Japan. And I'm really a big fan of Ghibli Studios animation, and I know that next year they're gonna open a theme park with the restaurant from Spirited Away and all things like that, and I really want to go there. So I'm gonna feel like a kid or something. So yeah, I think Japan. I really love a lot of visual artists since it's the world I come from at the beginnings. I love a lot of illustrators that tell story with tableaux that are super simple. Like I love David Shrigley and these kind of artists. I also really like all the London artists that came out, all together, like Tracy Emin or all them, because I like how they just break the idea of conceptual art and just do what they want in a way, and for a cause that they like. I think that also it's a bit classic and more old, but I really like the surreal artists. So Magritte inspire us a lot. We use a lot of apples in our film. I think it's inspired by him. So yeah. Yeah, I think in illustration and paintings, you kind of have one idea that is a frame of in time, and what I really love was to have it was a mix of being obsessive, always the same kind of pattern, and I always all the time, and I think that in our work is still there. For example, for like the last 2 years, we obsess about glacier, so it's always there. Sometimes it's in the background, there's a glacier. Now we just did one for Apple that is just completely on a big glacier. So this kind of obsession comes a bit from the visual arts of less video but more illustration and painting. And I think that it's one thing that also come in our work, because we want to tell a narrative but also be sure that all the little aspect of the film creates a kind of tableau when you press pause. We're super lucky that often is the client that contact us, and we don't have to contact them too much. But one thing that's really fun, I think, is that one of the clients that we like the most are technological clients, and we do a lot of handmade and lo-fi live action type of animation. So it's nice to see that these companies, they come and they say, we have these technological, we have a pen for Samsung that does a lot of things. Can you do an animation, live action that would illustrate that in a tangible way? So yeah, so for some reason, the project that I really love that we did are from clients like Google, Apple, Samsung. So. when we receive the script and the brief from the client or agency, we always have the choice. If we see that it's very not of our cup of tea, we just don't take the project. But sometimes we receive the brief and we think it's gonna go great, but then it changes or it's not the way we want anymore. And I think the main aspect of it is to remember that it's the idea is to have their product and their project work. So we try to always keep even if the creative we have a different opinion, we always try to remain very friendly and working toward collaborating. So often it arrives to a compromise that ends up being good for the project. So it's a kind of constraint that sometimes is frustrating, but in the end is rewarding, I think. I think it's a really good question because it's the two main things that interest us. And one thing that before we were talking about working as a duo and having different aspect and affinity that we have more than other, and that's this question that you asked is perfect, I think, with this, because Julien is really more the idea part and I more the visual part, and of course we both collaborate all the time. So Julien also is like super into the visual and I really like want to be into the idea, but this kind of collaboration between ideas and visual, I think it's one of the things that we collaborate the most in. So that's how we connect them. Some projects, they arrive and they're really more about the visual because the script is well on its way and it's already decided almost. So we mostly work with the visual, and some other time we want to have the idea first and then the visual comes after. Depends on the project. For this film, we had the idea of having the character evolving into a big space coming from a kind of desert that had nothing in, and then arriving in this place that was kind of bizarre and has weird loop in it. So the girl arrives and there's one girl sitting with a blue skirt on the top of a kind of building or a wall. And at some moment when the music starts to be more intense, she jumps and we realize that that her skirt turns into kind of a visual waterfall that is a loop. Or this is one of the projects where sometimes we like to be in the video. So there's one that I just shovel a lot of snow out of the window and Julien paints kind of a circle on a wall, and suddenly the circle comes out, and at the beginning it was just supposed to look into the circle and see that it's just a starry night, and then we just said, me and Julien, you should jump into the circle, and all the other people in the studio were like, no, you cannot do that, it's dangerous. What if you get hurt? And we were like, no. So we went to get a couch and we put it behind, and Julien just was flipping and jumping on the couch, and in the end it's my favorite part of the video. And one other thing that is why I like this video is that it's the first time that we went with CG for the set design. So normally one of the things that I'm most passionate about it's drawing the set, and it's amazing to see, you draw the set, you choose the color on the computer, and you arrive in the studio and there's like 50 people building your drawing in 3D, like in real life, and it's so amazing. And with a very short film, I was not sure if I would have the same love, because nothing was going to be done in person. And in the end, I loved it so much. We worked with Shed, which is a good post-production company in Montreal, and they were so nice. We were drawing all together and building this space and changing the texture. And I know for you guys it's like the normal, but for us it was really a good experience that we wanted to do in other films after. Yeah, it's a very good question again. I have 2 kids. Mathilde is gonna be 10 next month and Ellie is 7. and we had them quite young, I think, for our generation. And it's good in a way because since we had them young, then now they're older and we can work more. So yeah, it's really important. Sometimes they come on set with us, and other times, like now my mom is with them, but always they're super interested. They're really artistic kids, so they really like to come on set or see the development of the project. And like I was telling about the thing that Julien jumps in the circle, and they always want to see it. They're like, I want to see that jumping in the circle. So yeah, they're cute and funny in that way, and I think they're gonna be really creative individuals. So it's nice to have them come in our world in a way. And sometimes we want to go in theirs. So last year, for example, we homeschooled for the entire year. So we built them a programs, and we went to a nice museum in all the world, and we went to Costa Rica for 3 months, and we developed projects. Sometimes they directed small films, and we were helping them. So yeah, it's hard to balance both, but I think it's really rewarding for them and us in the end. Favorite project until now is the last one we did. It's called Strangers, and it's a project that we wanted to do for years, I think. So when we built the story, a lot of people in Montreal, they wanted to collaborate with us, so we had the chance to work with a nice designer that did all the clothes, and we found amazing dancers. That it's not a choreography, but the way it's hard to understand. You should watch, like people should watch it, but it's a grid that people almost touch each other. So we had like a green grid on the floor with like different paths, and each dancer on green screen had to walk and do like weird things, and they needed to follow the exact same path. And some, they have like a sweater over their head and they do that, and it was amazing to see them just follow this super precise path. I don't know how they do it. They have like eyes other places of their body, I don't know, but this one was really amazing. And we also worked with an amazing production company that does Game of Thrones and stuff like that in Montreal. So for them, it was fun to just have like a small project, but for us, it was amazing to have these people create our ideas and set designs that we had in mind. So we're happy about that. Yes, I think it's very important to allow time for self projects. Sometimes you don't have time, but you have. When I say you, I mean me. I have to find times, because it's nice to just explore something new and not change everything, but just see how far you can push some aspect of your work, and just to surprise yourself in a way. And because when you work with clients, you always want to make them happy, and it's normal because it's their film, you work for them, and it's one thing that's really important. But when it's just for us, we can really develop and don't think, are other people gonna like that, and just really do what we want in a way. So each year we try to do one. So yes, I find time like one a year to do it. I tend to say nothing else than art, or like everything else. I'm passionate about traveling, so probably something that involves that. Maybe a chef I would love to be, or when I decided to go to school, at first I went in creative writing to do literature, and I really like linguistics. And then, so I wanted to be a poet, and then I wanted to be like a painter and a visual artist. And my parents, they were not into that. They were like, you have good grade in school, you should become a lawyer and stuff like that. So I think they're right. I would probably have done an okay lawyer, but yeah, I love creative things since I'm like super young, and it never went away. So I think I was meant to end up in a creative field. Do what you want, and then after just try to find 4 or 5 projects that kind of have your voice in it, so people when they see your thing, they can kind of know the kind of approach or style that you have. And yeah, just go for it. And us at the beginning, we used to take all night to send our work to all the blogs, and in the end you send to 500 blogs, so you end up being in 20, but these 20 then after somebody pick it up, and that's really how it starts. So I would say just do what you love, try to find a way to package it in a way that is understandable for people, and then just like spread it as much as you can. Thank you for the invitation. It's such an honor to be invited in a motion design conference, because it's so different than what we do, but in a way we like to do animation, that live action that feels like animation in a way, but done with tangible approach, or CG approach that seems like tangible. So it's very, very an honor for us to see such a good festival notice that kind of approach. So we're really honored, and I'm looking forward to do the conference and share our work, and hopefully you're happy.